Today's guest traveled to Russia to learn how they run wild boar with dogs. Then he came home and he built Sweden's hunting dog trail system from scratch. And then he went around the world, from African traffickers to military canine units, to figure out what the best wounded game trackers on the planet all have in common. He sits on the Swedish Kennel Club's National Hunting Dog Committee, and he gets dispatched by police to track traffic-hit wildlife in the middle of the night. His book, Modern Blood Tracking, is about to hit English shelves for the first time. If you want to learn how to successfully track wounded game, keep listening. Welcome to the Silvercore podcast, Torkel Norling.
Thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, I did a podcast recently, and you've actually been on this podcast before. It's called Nordic Tales and American Trails, and it's with Eric Roden.
Yep.
And I think his guest on there is a guy by the name of Darren Petty. And after recording, your name came up a few times. And in fact, Eric had nothing but admiration and respect and comments about you. And he says, you got to have this guy on your podcast. And he says, I watched this hunt that you put on YouTube because I was with Norma, and they had this Norma Academy hunt. And then I hunted with a few friends from Norma afterwards as well. But on the Norma Academy hunt, it turns out that you were one of the handlers on the dog side, while I was one of the hunters on the hunt side. So I figured we got a little bit of overlap here. And there's definitely an interest in North America about how things are done around the world and where we can learn and how we can do things differently, and especially tracking wounded game. So I'm really happy to have you on here and want to get a little bit of your perspective.
Great.
I find it kind of interesting in North America. I mean, different states are going to have different relationships with hunters. Different provinces will have different relationships. But the relationship between government and the hunting community in Sweden seems intertwined in some respects. Whereas hunters in a lot of North American places will be like, well, I don't know, we're at odds, we're at opposition. Sometimes the hunters can't understand the logic or rationale behind hunting restrictions because they don't think they're science-based. They might think they're emotion-based, or they feel like, there's always new restrictions coming on. But it seems like in Sweden, there's a bit of a synergy between the hunters and the government. The government says, well, there's this group out there that has specialized skills. They know the ground, they know the area, they understand the animals, and they understand how to track them. Who are we going to call if an animal gets hit by a car and is wounded? Who are we going to call if we need help with animals out? And they call the hunters. Is that a correct observation from a North American?
Yeah, absolutely. It's correct. We have a great old tradition of communicating between the state and hunters and others.
I think that goes a long way for preserving traditions too, because there's utility. There's actual scene utility from the government as well as from the non-hunters in having properly trained, knowledgeable, ethical people out there that are hunters to be able to fill a role within society. I think that does that help with the Swedish hunting culture and acceptance?
Yes, I would say so. We have, I think we have over 90% acceptance in the community for hunting in
Wow.
different forms. Yes, and that is good, but it is not getting better, of course, because now we have, I guess we have like the first generation of people growing up in big cities that have no connection with nature or with hunting or with fishing. The first generation, they don't have a grandfather who used to hunt, and so. And these people are of course more difficult to discuss relevant matters with. That of course is a problem.
Sure, I could see that. Now, you yourself, am I correct in the research I've done? It looks like it's between 200 to 300 wounded animal retrievals that you've done last year alone. Is that number right?
Yeah, it's right. It's about right. In our my part of Sweden, Västra Götaland, is like I don't not know what you call it in Canada, but it's like a county.
Okay.
There we have where I'm in charge of the organization. We have like 500 trackers and about 12,000 accidents a year for this. So there's a lot to do. So I have, but it differs from year to year. Some year, the last year I had quite a lot, and the wild boar population has increased a lot, and at the same time the moose population. The moose is our I mean, that's our national animal, the moose.
Sure.
But the population has gone down for some different reasons, and one reason is that the wolf population is increasing, and that is really a big problem in Sweden, because we have such because of our hunting traditions and also traditions. We have a law called Allemansrätten. It's like all men's right to be out in the forest. So every Swede are allowed to walk wherever they want to in the forest in Sweden. You can't stop people from walking into your forest, and they're allowed to pick berries and mushrooms, and the fishing is very accessible. It's quite easy to get hunting areas, especially in the north. So we are quite close to it, and very strong relation, and I think that's a great thing, because therefore we get more motivated to fight for nature. So we are great nature fighters, because we know, we can see if something is wrong in nature. And when it comes to the moose, for like 20 years ago, I think we shot on the legal official moose hunting. We shot more moose in Sweden than in the rest of the world together.
Yeah, it's insane what your moose numbers, and I was looking at that. So I'm from British Columbia.
Yeah.
You in Sweden, if I recall correctly, I forget what the numbers are right now, but it's something like you have twice as many people in Sweden than we do have in British Columbia. Your land size is like half the size of British Columbia that we have here. So twice as many people and half the size of land. But your moose numbers are exponentially higher than what we have over here. Now, I think you hit on one big point there. Number one would be predators. So the wolves, because we do have predation on moose by wolves here in British Columbia. And yes, that is a big effect to it. And our silviculture practices, our logging and how we do it, they say it just opens up these easy to roam highways for all animals, and it creates a easy path for the wolves to travel up and down and get our moose and our caribou. However, you guys also have what we would call very backwards management practices when it comes to your moose. In British Columbia, we got big signs up. Do not shoot the cow moose. It was a private initiative. People don't shoot the cow moose. These are the ones that are going to be giving birth to the next generation. And, obviously our government gets in there with the scientists as well, and they try and take a look at sustainable numbers that can be harvested. And we go over to Sweden, and this guy's telling us, he's giving us a lowdown. He's like, okay, so if you see a bull moose and you see a cow moose, obviously the ethical thing to do is, and I'm thinking, of course, you shoot the bull. He's like, no, you shoot the cow moose. Oh, okay. He says, but if the cow is with calves, I'd be like, okay, you don't shoot anything. Oh, no, you shoot the calves. But then before you shoot the cow, I'm like, that is completely backwards to how we look at it over here in North America. People would jump down your throat and say you're doing it all wrong here. However, the numbers that you guys have, the way you're managing it, would seem to indicate a different story.
Yeah, but yes, I agree. But we put down a lot of science into this. in Sweden, and the licenses that we had were based on what we could. First, decided how large, how many mooses do we want in different areas, and then from that we decided on licenses. But this, I totally agree with what you say. But a lot of these rules were made before we got the wolf. So. So before we got the wolf, the moose is the main food for the wolves. Before we got almost any wolves, we had to shoot about what the strong wolf population would kill.
Right.
And they kill. I think half of it is calf. You understand? Therefore,
yes.
we have to shoot calves. But now it's beginning to be a bit different with that, because like in my county here, we have like 9 family groups of wolf now. So that's a big problem, and of course that must affect how we hunt the moose, of course. And the moose is what we call red listed now. It just came out a couple of days ago, and that means
what does that mean?
That means that it's a negative trend on the population. It's not threatened. We have a lot of moose, but if you compare to what it used to be, you can see the trend is going downwards. So we can't keep on hunting in the same way. We must adjust to the situation. And another problem is actually climate change, because it's got so much warmer, especially in the southern part of Sweden. And the moose is adapted to cold climate.
Sure.
And if it gets too hot, especially in the spring, the cow uses so much energy in her system to lower her temperature. So much of the energy that she should put into the calf and the raw milk, she uses herself to survive, and maybe plan to get calves next year. So the calves are very weak, a lot of them in the southern part of Sweden, because it's so much warmer now compared to just when I was a kid. It's totally different, and that's also a reason. So we can't be sure of having a good moose population in southern Sweden in the future because of that.
Well, with the wolf population being a newer introduction to Sweden, I got to imagine it probably has encountered newer ideology and opinions on how to manage and regulate it. And some of that's going to be tied into, well, a wolf looks like a dog and you shouldn't shoot it. Like, controversial is around the world, I've found some of these animals can be rather controversial to manage. Is that similar in Sweden?
Definitely. I think the arguments or the feelings for the partly irrational feelings for the wolf are the same in the whole world. I mean, it's a fantastic animal. I was on a traffic accident with a large male wolf like a couple of weeks ago, and it's a magnificent animal. I mean, the paws are like this.
They're massive.
It looks
saucers.
My Lycas times 3, but it conflicts very much with our way of connecting to nature. Definitely. And I'm not totally against wolf as an animal. I don't hate any animals, but it's a very obvious conflict with interest, because it's not as much room for our lifestyle when there are a lot of wolves in the forest. Definitely not. And about our lifestyle when it comes to hunting, So the traditional Swedish hunting tradition is very much based on large forests. I think that, I'm not sure about this, but I think that we are the third largest export of timber after Canada and Russia, I think, in the world. So we have a lot. The forestry industry is huge, and that also affects the moose problem because they got so much damage on the trees. But our hunting tradition is very much based on very independent hunting with very independent dogs. Few people out in the woods and huge areas, not that dense population with different animal and dogs that search widely and never quit. We have some of the spits, like Jämthund. It looks like almost like a wolf, like a spitz, like a Laika. That's the Swedish natural breed, and we have a lot of hounds, like stövare. We call it like Hamilton stövare, Schillerstövare, etc. Very independent dogs that works far from the owner. And very independently, and that clashes very badly with moose. That doesn't mix very well, of course. And then we have the tradition that you met when you came here of hunting. That's more continental. I mean, the European continental way of hunting that you see in the very southern part of Sweden, on the estates and such, with a lot of animal on quite small areas, and a totally different situation. You don't see that in the northern part of Sweden at all, and where you have many handlers, many dogs that they're not supposed or not allowed to be persistent at all, because when you went here, you might have like 3 beats in a day. Maybe you hunt the hunting ground three times a year, and that's all. And you invest a lot of money in these hunting grounds. They're very expensive to get animals that are so plentiful. And then you might have 3 beats a day, and exactly as you saw. And if the dogs are not supposed, in the first beat, they are not supposed to follow an animal into beat number 2, then they might destroy.
Right.
And for the people that used to these independent dogs I talked about earlier, that they can't see. They think that those dogs, they are definitely not worth feeding. In their opinion, you understand? Because so you have a polarization in the hunting community a bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, we've had a opportunity to do a few different hunts over in Sweden over the last few years. First one we did was in it's outside Mora, Sollerön. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's a small island essentially, and it's southeast of Mora.
Oh yeah, Mora in Dalarna,
Yeah, around there. And it was just, bunch of friends, farmers going out, and some with their dogs, some people, clapping to drive animals. And that was our first experience to Swedish hunting. It was very, very different than what it's like with, it would probably be more akin to what we do in North America, except we're not big on driving in North America, at least not in British Columbia here. That's generally not how people do most of their hunting for deer or moose or but then we go to that estate, and that estate was just completely different, very foreign. Like we had I think it was Felix was the hunt master for the day. Yeah, Felix Devon comes up the night before, and he's all in his traditional hunting attire, and he comes very stern looking, and he looks like a regimental sergeant major coming on in, getting ready to give some orders, and starts off, "If you shoot a moose, the police will be called. You will not be going anywhere." That's how the whole thing starts, right? It's like, okay, we better be paying attention here. And I was up there, I was doing some filming. I'm like, I better not film this. I don't want to look disrespectful. I gotta pay attention. And we got these sheets that he handed out. And it's like, well, you can take a roe deer, but only fawn. You can take a fallow deer, hind, not the leading hind though. You can take calf or two-pointed males, and it goes through here, red deer, male, hind, calf. Wild boar, you can take a male, but last year's offspring, up to 60 kilograms. And I'm like, I don't even know what 60 kilograms is. I got to get the phone out to convert it to pounds. And you're telling me that I'm supposed to identify a wild boar, which I'd never seen in the wild before coming out there, at full run while dogs are driving it, and see, like, is it male? Is it female? And now, is it 60 kilograms around there or below? So I was like, well, maybe I just don't shoot at boars, and maybe we just make sure, like, I'm going to, like, kind of wait out the first drive and kind of see what's going on here. I think his intention was to make sure everyone knew the rules, and some people were too afraid to pull the trigger. So then the guides come up like, no, actually you can take, and then the discrepancies come in because the guides are like, well, actually you can take female, or you can take, and there's all these different rules. I'm like, geez, I don't want to be found offside here. So anyways, we set up on our first, we're in the stand, we're placed out there. There's a no-shoot area. You hear the dogs. Sure enough, there was a boar like 20 meters away from us, bedded down. And when the dogs came by, it pushed it out, and I just watched that thing go out. I'm like, it's too close to the dog. I don't want to take the shot. And I don't know if it's male, female, and all the rest. It made for an interesting hunting experience, one where I had to park my assumptions and how I typically hunt and just turn my brain on and try to learn. But you were on that hunt as well. But I guess your role would have been after each drive to find wounded animals. That'd be you, right?
I was did the tracking part.
Okay.
I had not that much to do. I guess because some of you didn't dare to shoot after Felix military style. He's a great guy.
He is.
I work with him in organizing the trackers in after the traffic accidents in my county. So he's a great guy. But
I quite like him. He's very nice.
But he's quite tough. Because you see, especially with guests, paying guests, you can see often that if you're not very strict, the rules will be misused.
Sure.
So that's the problem. But that was a good example of the southern continental type of hunting. Felix has. Just as me, he has got Lycas, the bred Lycas, and he hunts up in the northern part of Sweden. And then his hunting situation is completely different because then it's big forests and free everything. Not everything is free, but it's much freer than down here. That kind of hunting experience, it's very controlled. It's very and maybe. When we talk about my recent work, we might get into this with stress and similar aspects of hunting.
Sure.
Because you can definitely say that the situation you were in the stand is a very stressful situation because you're not used to the situation. You need
all brand new.
You need much more time than I do. before you can be sure it's a male boar or a female boar.
Sure.
And your stress level is a bit higher, and you're more keen to make a mistake. And if you are a controlled good person, then you don't shoot.
That's
of
right.
course, in many of these situations, that's a problem, of course.
So if you're in North America and you find yourself in a place where you can't use dogs to track wounded game, what advice would you have for somebody to assist them in successfully tracking a wounded animal?
That's a good question and quite difficult question for me, because what I see clearly is that I made a big part of my life to try to understand how to train dogs, how to interact with dogs to get good at tracking. And I can see that I lose some ability to track without dogs. Because you understand what I mean? I can let a dog work freely on a certain area. Because I train the dog to mark blood, let's say mark blood. Then I don't have to look for blood, because the dog is much better than I am, and I trust the dog. And then instead of helping the dog, that is not necessarily help, I walk away and let the dog work freely, and then I lose my ability to see blood, to see indications in the leaves and in the grass, etc. for dogs. I mean, compared to, you can see in Africa, the traditional African trackers who don't use dogs. They nowadays, in some places, they use dogs more, even in Africa. But the traditional trackers, that are incredible.
Yes.
And I guess people in the old days, when they didn't have dogs in the Nordic countries, were as good as the Africans are in tracking. But I'm not, of course, because I don't need to. I can't compete with the dog. The dog is so good. So my solution is to have a good dog. But if you're not allowed to have if you're not allowed to use a dog, then you can't be nearly as efficient. Then you will lose a lot of animals. You will do that. The same thing if you're not allowed to use both a line tracking dog and a release dog, you will lose some animal, because you lost one tool in the toolbox. Of course.
Sure.
So I can't. It's of course it has to do with training, but I can't give many advice to people that are so unfortunate that they're not allowed to use dogs.
Okay, so let's say they can have a dog to get out there.
Yeah.
Like, what would a typical call out? The police call you up and say, "Hey, there's an animal. It's hit. It's been off the highway. We don't know where it is. Come on out. Can you help me out?" What does it look like? How do you get yourself ready? And what does the pursuit look like?
It's always, or maybe 19 out of 20 occasions in the middle of the night. The police calls and says, "Hello, we have a traffic accident, like road deer or a moose or a wild boar, or a couple of days ago it was a lynx hit by a car." And they say, "Can you help us?" And I said, "Yes." And everything, all my equipment, I've all the equipment is in the basement, ready. All the batteries are charged, and everything is ready, because I know how diffused my brain will be in the middle of the night when you're in the middle of a dream, So I have control over that, and the dogs are always ready. And it's an interesting thing, because if I talk to a friend, I get some calls in the day too, but the dogs hear immediately if I talk to a police or
really,
yeah. If this was about you giving me a mission, track mission. The dogs would bark as hell. No,
Really?
they hear immediately, and in a way, it's a bit embarrassing because I work with developing training methods, and I can't get my dogs to shut up. but it's for me it's worth much to have dogs that are so motivated. They are so motivated that it's a high demand to tell them that to shut up. You understand? When
totally.
I say yes to the police calling me, then I get an SMS from the police with all the facts in where the place, animal, everything the police got from the driver, and I also get the driver's telephone number. So when I'm in the car and choosing the right, I have three Lycas, East Siberian Lycas, and one Hanoverian, maybe you call it, a scent dog. It's a specialized bloodhound. And when I chosen the dogs and got into the car, I phone the driver always. So the driver, the Swedish law says that the driver must phone the police after they hit an animal, and they must mark the place, and they must be ready to answer the phone. The answering phone part is not regulated by law, but the police tell me. Yeah. And then I get an opportunity to get more information than I got in the SMS.
Sure.
And that's also a thing I've studied, how to make the best of this quite stressed person, because I'm the only one almost in the world that is not stressed at all in this situation, because it's my job. You understand? So I'm very calm. For me, this is everyday work. But he or she is sometimes extremely stressed and might even be in hospital. So
sure.
And then the police say that we rather see that you don't call the person. Then I understand this is not very good. And then I get more information, and then I often call a colleague. So we try to be two out, and one reason for that is it can be dangerous. Things can happen, and then we get to the place. We mark. We put up tents with lights on it, and flashlights on the tents on each side, and then we start looking on the road, on the asphalt. So one of my dogs, the one sleeping here, the scent hound, she is specialized on hard surfaces, so she
interesting.
Yeah, she is trained for. She believes that the best way to find something great is to search on asphalt. Because I taught her that's where the things start, and she learned that if it's an animal that's not hit by a car, she will never get reward for tracking it, never ever. So therefore, she has got no reason to leave the asphalt for the ditch or the forest, because the start of the fun part, the start of the part that you will get rewarded for, that is a wounded animal, is always on the asphalt.
Sure.
So if she tracks on the middle, not on the middle, of course, on the road, she tracks with a nose more or less on the surface. If she meets a scent of a not wounded animal, she won't leave the asphalt. So I can quite easily read her behavior and see what's happening. But let's say after she make a marking, make a circle and keep on tracking. Make a marking, keep on tracking. That was a wild boar not hit by a car, wild boar not hit by a car. And the third time she might do a marking and then out in the terrain. That's the right
Interesting.
part. And then I get a 100% start. And then I write quite a lot of this because the start is very underestimated. It's very, very important part of the whole tracking mission. If you're
think so.
If you're uncertain from the beginning, you will be uncertain through the whole tracking part, and you will not succeed as often. But then she told me that here is an animal that is hit by a car, and then that part is over, and then I have to choose how to continue. And then I might, if she shows me the animal is nearby, dead or so badly wounded that it's nearby, I let her do the rest, track to the animal and maybe shoot it in a ditch or nearby.
Sure.
Because if and otherwise, I often change to the Leica. That is a dog better at baying, at stopping an animal. But if I always change to the Leica, then the scent hound won't be rewarded for her effort.
Oh yeah, I get it. Always got to play that game.
Sometimes you get the reward for her effort, and then we keep on tracking until we flush the animal, or until we can see by the behavior of the dog that we are probably near the animal. It also has to do with the terrain, and then or we flushed the animal. We can hear it jumping up somewhere. And of course, if we get a shot there, we kill it. That's of course. But if we don't, and when it comes to wild boar, for example, we very seldom see the animal when it's flushed because they are in such a dense terrain.
Sure. Yeah.
So they will hear us long before we hear them getting up. So they are on their feet already. So I might be able to read the dog, and the Leica says, "Torkel, it's on it's running," and then I let it loose, and then it follow it loose, and until it finds it, and then it barks for it as long as it might take like 10 hours, but often less, and often in extremely tight, dense terrain,
So in that situation, you'd want the dogs to bay the animal and keep it at bay until you. So, okay, you guys have lynx, you have wolves, you've got brown bear, you've got wild boar, and they get pretty darn big with big tusks. Coming up on a wounded animal is not for the faint of heart. Have you ever had any close calls?
Yes, I have, and that is a very interesting part. When I worked with the book, I interviewed a lot of people, and I realized quite early that the mentality part was a very big part of that. That differed the good from the best from the only good,
Good from great, yes.
The attitude is a very important part of these things, and I also, I think I mentioned it for you when we talked last time. I interviewed when I realized that we have so much in common with military people, for example, and the things we have in common is that we have quite slow activity when tracking, following a dog in a line in the middle of the night with a headlamp, hour after hour. That's a very slow, not very exciting activity. But then the whole world might explode with a suddenly we flush an animal, jumps up, or it might even be attacking a boar or bear. And then we must make the right decision in half a second. And it must be the right decision because it's life and death. We have life and death in our hand, in our gun. So it's very important that you do the right thing. And one thing that started my thinking about this was some years ago when we had a wounded brown bear, quite large bear. And I had a Leica then, very interesting Leica called Totte. And he barked at this brown bear for quite long. And it was so dense, I couldn't see I could see like this far. And he barked for a long time. And suddenly I felt that the wind changed. So I got the wind in my back. I stood there and hoping for it. I saw the dog, but I didn't see the bear. Sometimes the bear's head came up like this far away from the dog's nose. And then it backed
like inches.
Yeah. And then it backed into the dance and the dog kept on barking. And suddenly, after the wind changed, and the wind was towards the big bear, I can hear, suddenly I could hear the bear coming at me in full speed. And it was so dense, so I couldn't see anything. So I couldn't be sure if it was a false attack or not, of course. But the dog was certain. The master is in bad trouble. I must save him. So he jumped the bear with no hesitation at all. So he jumped the bear, and I could just hear them fighting. And then it was silent, and the dog came crawling towards me in a quite bad state. He survived, but he was not looking too good. But so he was driven to the vet and survived. But his stomach, the membrane of his stomach was broken, so he wouldn't survive 2 days. But anyway, and he didn't hesitate at all. He sacrificed his life immediately.
To save yours.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, later it was dark. It was becoming dark, and I was on the road. And a friend of mine, one of the most experienced brown bear hunters in Sweden, he's called Rasmus. His Plott Hound was barking on the wounded bear. It was wounded from before, and I stood on the road, a narrow road in the middle of the forest, and it was like black forest on each side. It was black because the sun was down, So I had some light on the middle of the road, and I heard the dog stopped barking suddenly, and then you should be ready. And I heard the bear coming closer and closer. It sounds like that the bear running sound. It came closer, and then my mind got into a very interesting state. That made me think about this much afterwards. I was absolutely 100% sure that the bear is dead. I would shoot the bear. It's no problem at all. It was a really big bear. It was a very angry bear. And it came closer and closer in the black forest. And I thought I let it up on the middle of the road because it's a bit lighter. I don't shoot too early. I will have it will be a perfect shot. So I will let it up on the middle of the road. So I put up my gun. I have like a drilling. You know what the drilling is?
Yes. Yeah.
And
the multi-barrels.
Yeah, and it 2 rifle barrels and 1 shotgun barrel.
That's right.
And I put it up on my shoulder, the gun. and I heard the bear coming closer and closer and closer. And suddenly it broke out from the absolutely black forest. And I had my gun up, not on the bear, but on the middle of the road. But immediately when the bear saw me, it was like 30 meters, like 30 yards from me. It attacked immediately. You know, you might know this, but when a brown bear make a fake attack, it's waving with its arms and try to look as big as possible, like a mother with the cubs. You know, just want to look big and scary. But if a bear wants to kill you or kill
heads down and it just
doesn't
goes.
wave. It's low. It's like a vacuum cleaner. It's low on the ground and extremely fast. Ben Johnson would stand still compared to this, and so it attacked immediately, and I just changed the gun and shot, hit it above the right eye and kill it, and it lay like 2 meters in front of me in the middle of a step, and afterwards I was totally calm. I didn't tremble on my hands or anything. I was totally calm. And the other came to me, oh my God, we must sit down. And I was a bit angry at them because I have a gun. I mean, how deep it can be? It was like 2 meters away.
Sure.
I was so sure of the outcome all through it. And that was very interesting because I was less than half a second from dying, and I didn't get stressed over it. And the bear would have killed me, definitely. A brown bear.
Sure.
You can't defend yourself, and if it's on top of you, you smoked. And I was so focused. It was very, and I understand you. We have a saying in Sweden. We talk about when your view is narrowed down, when you're in a life-threatening situation. You understand what I mean? You just see what's important for your survival. Tunnel vision, yes. Exactly. And of course, I understand that's what it's about. But I want to understand why and how, and why did I react that way? I'm not the coolest person in the world, but in that instance, I was in that. That's 2 seconds of my life.
Sure.
So I wanted to understand, and I digged quite deep into that, and got some very interesting information from people when it came to stress reaction, what you can do about it, and what's in your personality. And you can really do a lot of things about it. And this is exactly what the special forces guys I talked to, one American and one Swedish guy, exactly what they said. This is the important part.
Well, I'm glad you probably noticed I'm taking a bunch of notes, and I'm glad you're going here with this because you've brought up the mental aspect and stress reactions and the sort of the psychology behind it a few times, and I've been writing it down every time you take it down because I know you've got some interesting thoughts on this one, and I find it. So what skiing and snowboarding and riding motorcycles has taught me is that you will go where you look. Yeah. So if I'm going fast and I'm going through the trees and I think about the trees, I'll probably hit the trees. Yeah. If I think about all the gaps in between the trees, I'm going to hit those gaps in between the trees. I just start eliminating all the things that are negative, and I just look at the positive where I want to go. It sounds like in that situation, you eliminated all the what ifs, and you just looked at the what I need to do. I need to put one round where it counts, and here's my time period. The people who I find are negatively affected by a situation like that will ruminate on the what could have happened, even though they've survived it. Afterwards, they'll take a look at, and that might be a natural stress response that the body starts looking at it afterwards. Personally, I find in talking with people who've survived bear attacks, and horrific accidents and maulings or animal encounters, the one common thread that I found is that in the moment, these survivors had the same mentality. They were singularly focused. One guy was in the mouth of the grizzly bear when he had to fight it off with his pocket knife, and horrific injuries, similar to the injuries your dog had from the bear. And then he had to get on a bicycle and pedal his way back with his one good leg for 7 kilometers to help get his own evacuation. However, calm, cool, and collected as he was in the time, talking about it afterwards, there is definitely a psychophysiological response that his mind was processing and his body was working out. Perhaps he deprived himself in the moment for survival's sake, but the moment wasn't done with him because it was coming out in the form of tears and shaking and in the relaying of the story. Now he can talk about the story, and he's worked all of that stuff out. I wonder, I'm interested to hear about your stress response, the studies you've done on stress response, and if you find that maybe you feel a bit more after the fact than you do in the moment.
I haven't got any late responses to it, to this situation at all. But I think that I can't control. If I wake up in 2 years in the middle of the night, I might wake up in the middle of the night and being scared of bears. I can't control that from now. But what I've seen when talking to a lot of people, one model that's interesting is like stairs, like this, and that was actually like a SWAT team policeman that have explained how they reason about this. I use this model; it's a great model, and they have this stair model and say that if something happens, you're in a situation with one stress level, and something happens, anything, you take one step up the stairs, and on the top of the stairs, that's red. Then you lost control. That's total panic. You don't know what you do. That's where you like kill your partner or shoot your dog and die yourself. That you don't want to get there. But most people, I guess this is a bit simplified, but most people do the same amount of stepping up the stairs. Like in a certain situation, you might get 2 steps up. So the method is to start as low as possible. To start as a low stress level as possible. So because you will get more stress, and there are quite a lot you can do about this beside your personality because that you're born with. But some things you can do is what the military doing a lot, that confront what might be the problem in the future. So if I just go to the zoo a lot, watch documentaries about bear, have bear targets at the shooting range, talk about bear hunting a lot, have a good imagination. So I can in my mind stand in my living room and hunting bears in my mind. All this makes me more comfortable with the situation around bears. And so everything is, and realistic training is very, very important also. And see all these animals. And I think one thing that probably in that situation I explained was very important was how many times I've done the exactly same thing with wild boar. So the difference isn't that big. It will hurt too if the wild boar runs into you. But
Sure.
it doesn't because I shoot it. I've done it so many times, so I'm quite cool in that situation. And we talk about, especially at least in Swedish, about when you're in a life-threatening situation, your brain backs. You see your. Do you have a saying about that? You see your life in review.
Yeah, they say that. You can see your life flash before your eyes.
Exactly. And
I think your neurons are firing so fast that you're seeing lots of things. And I think that's one way that people have articulated it's their life flashing before their eyes. But I don't know. I think it might be that might be a simplistic way of looking at it.
I think so too. But one way to explain that, why that happens, is that maybe your brain is looking, it has got like 1 second to do this. So it's looking for similar experiences that you survived. And if it finds something similar, the brain says, well, that time I survived by doing this and that. And then I'll do it. And that is interesting. And one other thing that I find very important is the ability to be safe in very, very close combat situations, so to say. Because one of the best exercises for this, exactly what we're talking about, being attacked by a very angry animal, is to not shoot on targets far away, but shoot on simple objects very near, almost at your feet. Understand? Just put things up, shoot one shot there and one shot there and one shot there, and then reload and talk to my friends and shot there. They're very nearby. Please, what happens in my brain there then is that it's a quite risky, scary situation with my dogs barking at the angry, wounded wild boar in North Europe's densest place. But I can go in there anyway because I know that I'm safe. It's a safe area around my feet. Nothing will get me.
Right.
So I move around with a safe, with a fence around me because I have
Yes.
and so that kind of training is very, very important. Not precision, but just do it. Be used to shoot very nearby. So I'm very safe in all situations when I have a gun. You understand? Because I can see that there are people that are much tougher than I am when they're not having a gun in this situation. You understand? I've been tracking brown bear quite a lot, brown bear with GPS collars on.
Okay.
And then you're not allowed to have a gun.
You're not allowed to have a gun if you're tracking a GPS collar.
It's tracking for training for
training. Gotcha.
Yeah, but you have a specific bears with the collars, GPS collars. Then you track them. Then I'm not scared at all, but I have plenty of respect for the bears. And if the dog mark that now we get into a dense area and the bear is near, I'm not that keen to keep on tracking without the gun.
No. Do you carry a spray?
Others, they just, so I use the gun training to be a braver person.
I can see that.
You understand what I mean? I use this kind of training to be able to handle these situations.
Well, it's a psychological tool. And, what do they say? God made man, Sam Colt made man equal.
Yeah.
Well, same thing happens. You got the rifle. It's a great equalizer with a charging bear. If you can get a central nervous system shot, spine, brain, you're going to drop it like that. You don't have a good shot, they can suck up a lot of rounds before they stop. So having the confidence of knowing that you can put rounds where they depend in a stressful situation, and then the practice to back that up, I can definitely see that psychological fence bubble that you build around yourself.
Yeah.
And it starts allowing you to see between the trees as opposed to looking at the trees.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. And that also makes me more keen to walk into a situation that is potentially dangerous. Because I walk with my safety bubble all the way. So I don't have problems with going near the danger. So that works quite well. But I would say that one of the things that are most important and efficient when it comes to be better at handling stress is good physique.
I agree. Yeah, you can change your mental with your physicality.
Definitely. If you, like I am out in the middle of the night and it's raining and it's cold and you're miserable, you should be miserable because it's a miserable situation. And
Sure.
and you have kept on tracking, and the hours goes by, and then you feel that I might be wrong. We might be following a fresh animal, or something is wrong. If you have bad physique and no stamina, the brain looks for reasons to quit. Looks for what it try to persuade you to quit, and
Yes.
and that you can see all the time. People having very far-fetched explanations why the animal might survive,
Sure.
and that is bullshit. As you can't have. There are instances where you, for example, find a drop of blood when the animal will survive, but your attitude toward the whole thing must be that if you have indication that the animal is wounded, and you bought the shooter bought a very expensive gun, trained, his or her life was focused on shooting this trophy animal or something. Of course, you must have the attitude that the animal is hit, and then you can't try to find. And if you have no stamina at all and a bad attitude, I would say also the brain search for reasons to get home, to quit and get in bed, and especially in the night. And you try.
It's dark and it's cold.
Yeah. So and that is interesting, and that is partly a different thing than the stress reaction thing, the thing with attitude, because that's also a thing I've seen with the people. I don't think I mentioned, but which people I interviewed. I tried to find trackers in the world that were famous not for being on social medias, but for solving more missions than others, even if they use what looks like the same methods and same dogs. But the doers, they're always people that when you fish, there are people that get more fish than others. But we have the same fly or the same fly rod or same equipment, But and I tried to find those and interview them and see what do these very special people have in common. And the big thing is not which dog breeds they have or what gun they use. It's more due to the attitude. And these special forces guys I talked about, they said, well, Torkel, you're on the right track here, because it's this never quitting attitude is so important. And it's almost a bit embarrassing to mention it because all the interviews with you done interviews with special forces guys, I think.
I have, yes.
Yeah, and they always, all of them talk about the most important thing. My father told me, never quit, son. You hear that story all the time, but it's true. It's so true. And you can work with that attitude, and you can if you're two friends working, you can tell each other, remind each other of the importance of this attitude. Of course, we should never quit. So that if you find a drop of blood, and if I go to tracking more than a general reason, if you find one drop of blood, which you not always find in the traffic situation, so that's a different. If you compare traffic accidents with hunting accidents, if you hit the animal, there will be blood somewhere. Just a thing of finding it. But if you have one drop of blood, then attitude must be that there is a wounded animal somewhere in the forest. It hasn't magically disappeared. It is somewhere, and there is always a way to find it. There must be a way to find it. Then what you can do is to break it down into steps. So, and I try to because what I try to do is, as I explained when it came to this on the road accident with my Hulda, the dog, just working on the asphalt situation. What you can do is break down into steps, and the first step is to find the start. That's the whole mission. Just find the start. When I have found the start, and that's over, might have a drink of energy drink or coffee or water, and then the next part starts. And the next part is following a track, and that's the only mission I have, follow a track. Because if I just follow the track, I will always, the track always ends with that.
It'll always lead somewhere.
Exactly, always. And then I flush the animal or come to the animal in some form. And that mission is over. Then it's about killing the animal if it's wounded. And then everything is about that. And you can see with the best people here, they have no problem with saying, well, we can't get any further. All of us do make mistakes. We have bad days, and it's about forests, about living animals. You can't know exactly what will happen, and you do mistakes. But what they will say that I think we won't get any further here. Let's start from the beginning. Let's go all the way back and start from the beginning. And that's interesting because the dog has no problems with that. But you and I think it's awful. You know, when you drive to a place with like children and stuff and realize that you forgot the phone at the gas station and go back. It's terrible to do that.
Oh, it's just a mental thing.
Yeah,
but
it's only mental because it's just 45 minutes of your life. It's nothing. So they go back and start from the beginning, and then they only have one single mission. Just one mission, and that is to find the place where you made the mistake last time. That's the only thing. And so that's one place and one place only. The mission is not to find an animal when you start from the beginning. The mission is to start where you got trouble the last time. Because that's the only thing you know, that you made a mistake the last time. So you're just looking for the mistake. So
I really like how you...
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I really like how you compartmentalize that because it makes it digestible. And I think people get overwhelmed when they look at, well, I'm not finding the animal, maybe I give up. And the giving up part, having talked with special forces people and people who train individuals for special forces, it was told to me, he says, people don't just give up. They don't just stop. They'll they'll play it out in their head a few different times, what it looks like. They'll try it on for size and see what it feels like. They might verbalize it to a friend or somebody else. Well, I don't know about this or that. And they see how the reaction is. And there's all of these stages that happen before they give up. And once you're aware of that, and you're aware of the negative self-talk you might be coming with, you can quickly nip that in the bud and go back to your compartmentalized process of, hold on a second, I haven't finished this one simple step. I'll just take a look at this step. Maybe it's time for fika, have a little reset, and then get on with that process.
Yeah, that's right. And therefore, one of the instances when I and others in my situation says no to a mission is when we don't have, if it's not, if it won't be as we expected it to be, and that's common. I don't have the time. If the time will drag out a lot, then I have this meeting in the morning, and then I say no. I can't do it because I must have time even for the things that go wrong. And if it turns out to be, I thought it would be dead within 500 meters, but it turns out to be a hit in the jaw. And then and should I let that jaw hit, which is the worst injury of them all, just suffer? Just because I have a meeting in the morning, and then it's better to say no to the mission, let someone else do it. And when if I just go back to the tracking part, because among trackers, the tracking is, and that is also a misunderstanding. That tracking, we don't have the best words for describing this activity, because tracking is, that's following a dog with a line. And that's just the part of this thing that I do. That's killing suffering animals that has been wounded by human activities, driving a car and shooting. And so the tracking part is very important to understand that I talked about this when you track, you only have one mission, and that's to keep on tracking, to keep yourself and the dog in the center of the track. That's the only thing you have to do. And then you shouldn't, your mission is not to measure how long the track will be. The mission is just to follow the track. So you don't care about how long the track will be. You understand? So it can be like 100 miles. It never is, but you don't care, because that's not the mission. The mission is, I'm not here to measure how long track I did last night. I'm here to follow a track. Just. And then you get another mindset, because then distance has nothing to do with it. But
I like that.
Yeah. But then about your question, how recommendations for people not having dogs, I don't have any good recommendations, because you can't do a very efficient job. But there are definitely ways to get the dog being much more efficient when it comes to these parts.
So I think, despite you saying you don't have recommendations, what you talked about there of the mindset equally applies to an individual without a dog. Like I'll carry flagging tape in my bino pouch.
Yeah.
I will GPS mark or mark out where I was when I took a shot. I will mark out how far away I was and where the animal should have gone down, but maybe the shot wasn't perfect, and so it ran. And so I've got all of these marks, so I know where I'm starting, and I flag it out. Then I just slowly inch my hands. I'm looking for blood trails and what the blood looks like. I'm looking to see if it's frothy, if it's dark, if it's the elevation of the blood as it hits the branches and stuff, to give me an indication of where my shot is. But if I just take that, and as opposed to saying I'm here to find the animal, which of course is my goal, But my goal here is now just to track the direction, just to look for blood, and just to keep my ears open as I go through. It's not to do anything with the animal because that part hasn't happened yet. Like, I think that's a valuable piece of the puzzle because I do know a lot of people will give up, and they'll give up quickly. I remember I was on a hunt and a guy took a shot at a moose, and it was, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was new to hunting. Maybe it was, I don't know what it was. Maybe his nerve, something going on with him. But he took a offhand shooting position, standing up, shot at a moose. We found some blood trail. They figure it just skiffed off the back, and off it went. But I mean, we spent the rest of the day looking, and finally came to the conclusion that okay, we're not finding this thing. It's an animal that's been shot. Maybe if we had dogs, it'd be a different story. But all the indicators.
Was it a bull moose, or?
It was a bull moose.
Alone, or did you have many at the same place?
Well, in the area is known for its moose, and yes, there are other hunters pulling moose out, and this was a large bull moose that my son and I found, but we didn't have a bull moose tag. We could only go for a spike fork moose, but people back at camp, they had a bull moose tag, so we booked back to camp real quick. My son kept one at bay and let the other fellow come on in and do his thing. And we flushed it out, my son and I, and it came out onto a logging road. And we heard the boom. I thought, hey, this is fantastic. But it wasn't a good shot. Actually, we did a podcast about that, one of the early podcasts I did here. But we never did find it. And the person who took the shot and the other person who was there who witnessed it were of the assumption that the shot was high and it was just grazed off the back.
Yeah, very interesting. Why I ask is because I think moose tracking is very interesting, and I would say it's not bragging at all, but I would say in that what you describe there with a good dog, and I would say one of the best dogs there would be like a Spitz. Scandinavian, like Jämthund, Laika, or well bred, that you trained for tracking. You almost have 100% success rate in that instance. But if you're not allowed to use it, it won't help, of course. But if it had been in Sweden, if I could work with that dog, and it could work alone for many hours without being eaten by a wolf or killed by a car, then you would have a very high success rate on that track. Lower on wild boar, because wild boar it's much more difficult.
Sure. If I understand it correctly, like, we can't use drones for hunting, and that includes finding an animal that's been shot and you're trying to find. But you guys can basically pull out all stops after the shot's fired when you're looking for a wounded animal. Is that correct in my assumption there? You can basically do anything?
Yeah, it's basically correct. Of course, we have, and that applies even more on a traffic situation, because then we have special laws. Then I can walk into, then now no area is restricted for me when it comes to, because I work for the police, for the state, so to say. So, I mean, a police that follows a robber can go anywhere, of course. And so can I. There's some restrictions, of course, and there's some, of course, military areas when they shoot, especially now in these troubling days. They have like shooting areas with the soldiers train all the time, and you can't get in there because you step on a mine or something. But otherwise, you're absolutely free. But and when it comes to hunting, tracking, it's almost the same thing. But if you, let's say you're shot, you wounded a moose, and it goes into another hunting right area where you don't have the right to hunt, you must inform the person owning the hunting right there. But if let's say that you the moose stops 50 meters over the border into that area, and it's wounded, obviously, it's suffering, you can just go in there and kill it. It's no problem. Then you just have to explain that I think that I would reduce the suffering by doing that.
Are you allowed to use night vision and thermal and things like that?
Everything. In that instance. But for some reason, not on the big predators.
Really?
That's an old law. That some laws are written far back.
Okay, I get it.
We have laws written before we got any wild boar. And we have definitely laws written before we got these amounts of we have a lot of brown bear, we have a lot of lynx, we have a lot of wolf, and the laws are not fully adapted to that.
Well, what I found interesting, so my very first hunt, like I said, it was outside Mora in Sollerön, and they had one fellow, and he was designated the leader of the hunt. Okay. I don't know what certifications or titles. I got the sense there wasn't anything special other than everyone in the group says, okay, this year, this guy, he's the most experienced, and maybe he does it every year, but he's, the hunt master, the leader of the hunt. So everyone's on the radios, and they can say what animals can be shot if they're being driven out. And if you can only take so many. And I said, well, do you have to buy tags for these? And they said, well, no, it's included in the allotment of how you do this. Okay. Well, how do you have conservation officers? Like here in North America, we'll have special police officers, peace officers. They're armed and they're in charge of looking after fish and wildlife, making sure people aren't poaching or taking too many. And they're like, well, no, we've got the police. If the police need to be involved, they're involved in something. But no, we don't have a special conservation division. So, well, how do you know how many you've taken and how they allot for that? Oh, they just tell us what the management says. And we, at the end of the year, we show them, we just keep track and we give it to them. And from a North American standpoint, that seems completely foreign. And you just say, everyone would abuse that process. There's no checks and balances. It seems like everyone thinks the only reason a lot of people aren't doing things offside is because of the consequence of the law behind it. Whereas it seems somehow in the socialist, and it's not socialist, but everyone calls Sweden I think you're more of a capitalistic society. But they say somehow you guys have been able to socially engineer a program that works for the management and keeps everyone accountable at the same time. Am I somewhat on track here?
Absolutely true. But of course, there are different people out there, and some people abuse laws by nature.
Of course. But
in these areas you talk about, they are very keen on having a lot of animal and the right amount. So they don't want to shoot too much. Right. Of course not, because they might have that same hunting area for the whole life. So that of course makes them less willing to abuse the laws. But the people, of course, they are not. I wouldn't say no, but they have sometimes, especially during the big predator hunting. For bear, it's very regulated what you're allowed to do, not allowed to do. You're not allowed to have more than 2 dogs while hunting bears, and a lot of rules around it. Then the police might show up and doing, control if you're drunk or if you have the right licenses and stuff. And when you shoot a bear, it's changed a little because we shoot so many bears nowadays. But when you shoot a bear, normally you have a license in a big area, like a quarter of Sweden can be an area. And let's say you have 60 bears to shoot in that area. Then it's very regulated, very well functioning. You have to phone when you shoot the bear. You have to phone a number before you start. You phone the number and hear that. Well, it's still 37 bears on the license. And then you shoot the bear and you report it. Say, well, congratulations. We will send a person coming out and taking samples and stuff.
Interesting.
And then you're not allowed to move the bear. It's got a little more flexible now because there are so many bears. And if the bear is way in the forest, this person have to like check, let's say, 5 bears, 10 bears that day. So he can't walk like 10 kilometers.
Sure.
You can bring it out. And that's good for you too, because the meat won't get spoiled if the whole
while you're waiting.
Faster. And they weight the bear and check a lot of things, and then everything is okay. No problem. But if that person sent by the government, so to say, feel that something is not right, then you're in trouble. Of course, if you're not allowed to. Let's say if you shoot what you call sow. No, what call your mother?
Sow?
Sow, the mother bear.
Yes,
And sow with milk.
Yes, okay.
Not very good. That's illegal. So when they do the test, they test for milk, and then you have problems. But of course,
interesting.
Of course, you don't want to shoot that. You don't want to shoot the sow.
Right. We've got a rule here that you're not allowed to shoot any bear that's in the company of others because you don't know.
The same here. But what can happen is that the sow put the cubs up in a tree. And then take on the following dog. And then you get hunt for 2 hours on the sow, and then you shoot it. And that situation, you don't want to come into that situation if you're a good hunter, of course, with 2 small cubs in a tree. So you try to avoid it, of course, but it might happen. And of course, you can't see, as with you with a wild boar, you can't see if a single bear is a female or a male when it's running. You can't.
Well, that's it. That's it, right? Like for us, shooting animals that are running is something that's more of a rarity. I mean, since we don't have dogs driving the animals out, we typically will spot and stalk or lay up, and an animal come through, and maybe they hear something, and maybe they're looking up, or maybe you made a noise to get them to kind of halt in their tracks, and they're sitting there, and you just, you find a good place, put the bead on them, you make a good shot. And that's generally how we do our hunting. Not something that's just streaking through like greased lightning. We can take our time and say, well, is this one I want? Is it male or female? That decision-making is highly accelerated when it's a driven hunt.
Yeah, of course. But the Plott Hound, the breed that's very common at bear hunting in Sweden.
Okay.
Very efficient, and we have got very good. I just worked with the rules for the Plott Hounds on bear trials, and they're very common, and they are imported from North America. Our Plott. Now we breed our own, of course, because we imported some very good. And one of the reasons for us being able to import the very good Plott Hounds is that one very famous North American breeder who sold the first Plotts, he was quite impressed by what we are going to hunt with them, our brown bear, not black bear. Said, well,
you don't have black bear, do you?
No, only brown bear. So that for him was the real stuff.
Huh.
He was very glad to sell dogs used for brown bear. But we are not allowed to use them in packs. We are 2 dogs only, and that is in many ways good for me. That likes interested in dog breeding and interested in tough, brave dogs. That's great for breeding, of course. If a dog is capable alone to hunt a big brown bear, it's a very strong dog.
So I think I probably have an answer to this already, but I'm going to throw it out anyways because I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So you breed these dogs. Dogs' natural survival instinct is dependent on being able to read humans and to form an emotional bond with us. You talked about the dog that jumped in front of the brown bear and saved your life at the sacrifice of almost its own. You're going into a lot of these things not knowing what the outcome for your dogs are going to be. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, when I do the tracking,
Yes.
that's part of it, because when it comes to, especially, the animal that's for this animal is the easiest thing to take a dog. That is lynx. The lynx, that is so much. It's like a domestic cat. If you tease it with a finger,
that's right.
You know what how it.
Oh
is. Yeah. And the same with the lynx, but the lynx doesn't want to kill the dog. Not at all. No, it just wants to get rid of the dog. So it's annoyed by the dog, so when a dog gets a good beating by a lynx, it finishes sometimes with the lynx holding with this long claws, holding the dog like this, looking into its eyes and saying, if you promise me to stop hunting, I will let you go. And it will let the dog go. So the dogs that gets most injuries from lynx are very tough young dogs that won't quit, with high that are quite aggressive,
Sure.
And a lot of defensive traits, that combination, aggressiveness and defensive traits in combination might get it not to quit at all, and then it might be killed. But if when it comes to wild boar, it is really the worst animal,
right?
Because some wild boar are, in some situations, if you have a very good wild boar dog, to be able to shoot the same with bear, the dog must work close to the wild boar. Otherwise, you're going in these very tight brushes and dense areas, trying to get close to the barking dog, and on a bear, for example, and then you suddenly see the dogs in front of you barking towards you. Then you know that you're in between the dog and the bear, and that is not good. So I must know that when I go trying to get close to the barking dog, I must know that in general the dog and the animal is on the same place, more or less. And so they must work close. And you understand that a good, really good bear dog, or especially a really good wild boar dog, will get injured sometime. But if it gets injured 3 times a year, it's not a very good dog. It's doing something wrong. I didn't get injuries last year, and not the year before that either on any of my dogs. But it was close.
Sorry, no injuries in the last couple of years, and that's 200 to 300.
Yeah. No injuries.
Okay.
They can get in. They can step on a nail or something.
Okay, sure.
But no wild boar injuries in 2 years. No, that's right.
Oh, that's impressive.
But it's like a bit like lottery, because if I have a dog that keeps on barking wild boar, and it's a wounded male wild boar, and there are types of terrain where the dog has a disadvantage. You can find a situation that's not good if you have a dog that's inclined to work close to the animal.
Sure.
Like if you have like snow, this much snow, and a frozen surface on the snow, and there are vegetation on the bottom, and you have a layer of hard snow on top of that, then the dog will not be able to So a smart dog realizes that and said, well, I have to work a bit further away.
Yes, I could see that. Is there anything that we should be talking about that we haven't talked about?
Let's see. I don't know. Maybe if you're interested in some of the training results I got, the results on new methods compared to old methods. Not only we talked about the mentality part of the human, but we have and then when it comes to as I said, I interviewed a lot of very effective people when it comes to tracking, and I talked about this with the mentality part, never quitting mentality, and you don't see that they use a special breed of dogs, but they use often a special kind of dogs. And that's a dog that never quits. They need a lot of motor in the dog, very high, often very high hunting drive. But they don't want the dog that quits before they quit, and they have no never quitting attitude, So that's but an interesting and not depressive part, but the interesting part is I compared old methods with new methods, and I tried to see what scientifically holds up when it comes to the old methods. And you can see that some of the old methods are still best at certain training things, but some doesn't hold up with you if you compare them to new methods. But there is another problem, and I found that some training methods are super good, and they're not almost used at all because they get a lot of tradition, especially the Germans who started the whole tracking thing many hundred years ago. They are very inclined to stick to traditions.
Sure.
And that is a bad thing when it comes to this, because you don't get the development needed, I think. But they have not a lot of knowledge. And then the question is, what can you use from that's still best, and what can you use from the new things? So I've interviewed a lot of police trainers, military trainers, and behaviorists and stuff. And the problem there is that some of the old trainers, old school trainers, are not willing to listen to new ideas because they believe that they know it all. I'm doing this for 30 years. Therefore,
old dog, new tricks.
Therefore, I don't have to listen. And also some younger new trainers also have a problem here, because they think just because you found new ideas, they think that automatically all the old ideas are useless. Understand? And even if when one else can prove that this exercise been used for 150 years, that still is the best way to train this. They can say that, well, I hear what you're saying, I understand, but I don't like it. So they have a tendency to mix emotion with science. You understand? So the emotion, they don't feel like it. They don't like it. And therefore they don't listen to they don't adapt to it, or they don't use a lot of good things that's available for them. And that is a problem. And you understand what I mean? If you confuse, you can see that in other areas where you because you have a strong emotion about something, you won't listen to knowledge proved knowledge. You can see that every day.
Every day?
Yeah. And with that attitude, that's both in the old timers and the new timers, so to say. Mm-hmm. If you have that attitude, that I will train the dog and I will listen, but only if the solution is in this framework. But these trainers can get good results still, but they will never get great results. You know, with that attitude, you will never get great results. And one thing I can see when it comes to everyone I interviewed of these top performers are that they are, and this is great, I think, they are not selfish when it comes to this. They share information, they share knowledge, and therefore they get knowledge back from others. They listen to others all the time, and then they have a continuous development. You understand? And
I do, yeah.
That's the way to do it, I think.
I agree. You know, you got to park the ego, and you got to park the preconceptions that you have, and you have to be able to look at it kind of from a blank slate as to what works and what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you got to be ruthless with it and just get rid of it. Maybe analyze why it's not working, and so that you can apply that to the other things as well. But pull the weeds.
Yeah, absolutely. And also these people that listen to others, they are much nicer people to be around also.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And that is also, that's nice, of course, but it's also important because what you see about, let's say, modern tracking, what I can see, it's much more common now today that people cooperate when it comes to tracking. The tracking teams, we do it all the time. We have tracking teams. We have, I and a couple of friends, we might be 3-4 people out for a mission and say, well, because I can see I found tooth here. So then I think it will be a very long track. Then we should use your specialist. But now I see it's a gut shot.
Yep.
Then we take my Lycas immediately because he will fix the tracking part, but he's better at the baying part than the tracking specialist. And when it comes to the animal hit in the jaw, then we must be two. One super specialized tracking dog and one super specialized baying dog, because that animal will run.
Yeah.
Then the dog must never quit. And that's the most important part. In other areas, it might be more important that you have a tough dog. If you have a wild boar, a small wild boar, and you hit it in the front leg, let's say.
Yep.
It
run on all three.
What?
A small one will run on all three forever.
Forever.
A big one is too front heavy, though.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. But if you have a small one, it will run forever for a passive dog. But for an active dog, it will be very short and intense.
Yes.
You will kill it if it like a 50 kilo wild boar with a 3-legged wild boar with a really good dog.
Yeah,
it will be stopped, and I will kill it in immediately. And if it's a very passive working dog that works on a distance, it might never stop.
Well, it sounds like your dogs are getting a little worked up at the moment.
Yeah. So that's interesting, and I've written quite a lot of this old and new method. What can I use from the old methods? What works and what doesn't work? What holds up?
If I want to get my hands on that book in English, where would I be looking? And when?
I think because it's not out yet, I think you must You have to search for the title.
Okay.
It's called Modern. It's very generic.
Modern blood tracking?
The publisher is they are nice people, but the title is very generic. I don't like that totally. Modern blood tracking, canine training and techniques.
Okay, and that's McFarland Books, I think.
McFarland, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
So you can order it on McFarland now, but you won't get it in a couple of months, I think.
Well, I'm going to put some links in the description where people can find you. If people have more questions, they can maybe DM you or. And then and when the book's out on Amazon, we'll make sure we update it and put links in there as well.
Yeah,
but
I will be happy to if I can start a new debate about methods and stuff. That's that's my goal. To get these kind of discussions with other tracking people is great.
Torkel, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really, really enjoyed this.
It was very nice. It was nice to meet you. If you come to Sweden anymore, time.
Oh, I will be. I absolutely will be. I'll probably visit some friends over at Norma, and then I'll have to let you know as well. So maybe we can get together and have a fika.
Yeah, it will be great. Have a nice time. Hear from you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
You take care.